Okay, I think we can get started. Welcome to our presentation on the Irvine Valley College Honors Program. Before I begin, I will say that a couple of things. If you have any questions during the presentation, there is a Q&A option where you can click on the Q&A box or icon in Zoom, and you can type your questions into the Q&A box. It's likely that I'll answer a lot of the questions as I go through my presentation, but I will go through the questions at the end of our session, and I'll make sure that I get as many questions answered as I can. And then also, we are recording our session today, and we will send a recording of today's session out to all of the registrants by the beginning of next week. So again, welcome to our presentation on the IVC Honors Program. My name is Dr. Emily Liu. I am an English professor at IVC, and I also am the coordinator of the Honors Program, which is a joy for me to be able to do and to talk to you about today. What we'll be going over today are the benefits of the honors program. And there's three main categories that we'll be talking about. One is the academic excellence that the program nurtures in our members, our sense of community that we provide for honors program students on campus, and the increased or enhanced transfer benefits that honors program members can take advantage of by being part of our program. And then at the end, I will talk about how you can apply to the honors program at IVC. Okay, so the first main benefit of the honors program is our academic excellence that we nurture in students. So the core of our program academically is our curriculum. We offer over 55 honors classes that students can choose to take, and we don't have any requirements on what students must take. We really want to empower students to enroll in classes that interest them. We offer honors classes across the campus. So we have honors biology, honors calculus, but we also have anthropology, sociology, political science, writing, history. So many courses for students to choose how they want to kind of push themselves further in their classes. These are honors versions of classes that students need to take to apply towards their major requirements or for general education requirements. So most of the time, students are not taking additional classes above and beyond what they need to transfer. These are just honors versions of classes. And what distinguishes honors classes is our enriched curriculum. So every single honors class is enriched in some way that has honor students taking their learning further and deeper. And it usually involves a more of an independent component. Because the classes are smaller in size than most other classes at IVC, they're seminar style classes. So our honors classes are 15 to 22 students, which is awesome. It really gives the students a chance to get to know each other really well, to get to know their professor really well, and have a wonderful cohort style of taking a deep dive into the material. So every honors course is enriched in some way. That can mean different things for different classes. So I teach writing 2 honors and writing 1 honors as well. But in my writing 2 honors class, my students the requirement for all writing 2 honors classes is students write a 20-page research paper. What I'm pushing my students to do as our enrichment is to devise some sort of original scholarly study that follows scientific methods of inquiry, mainly in kind of social sciences and humanity fields, so that they can be really well equipped to present their research at an undergraduate research conference and possibly even have that work published in an undergraduate research journal after our class. There's other classes like managerial accounting honors that has its students researching the financial statements of 2 publicly traded companies, and then giving a presentation, sharing their analysis with the rest of the class. I think they also have a small group project where groups work together to create a company, and then they create all the financial statements and cash flows for that company for 1 year. So the enrichment just gives students a further, deeper learning experience. Very often it has students doing scholarly research to prepare them really well for their upper division coursework that they'll undertake after they transfer. And I keep in touch with a lot of my former students who have transferred to UPenn, to UCLA, to Berkeley, and they always say that their honors classes prepared them really well to thrive in their transfer institution. So because classes are smaller, students can be pushed further. They can try out innovative teaching strategies. So the picture here is one of my Writing 2 honors classes, and they're doing an escape room that I prepared for them, where we had talked about logical fallacies, and they had to work together as a group to escape the classroom. And we have award-winning faculty teaching our classes, faculty with academic backgrounds from what I think our political science professor got his PhD from Princeton. And so he really wants to teach his honors political science classes as like Princeton level courses. I don't know if I could say this, but I'll go ahead and say it. I am a English professor at IVC, and I won Orange County Teacher of the Year in 2022 for the community colleges. And so we have wonderful faculty teaching honors courses who are deeply committed to providing a really challenging but enriching learning experience for students in the classroom, who really care about mentoring their students as well. We also have faculty members, especially in accounting and econ, who help their business major students get internships while they're at IVC, but also beyond. So, one of my former students, or one of the students who was in the honors program, just emailed me to say that he had gotten an internship for the summer after his junior year at Deloitte, I think it was. So he was really excited about it, and he wanted to email me to tell me about it. So students are getting really great preparation for their major, and also kind of outside of school as well. The honors program gives students priority registration for classes. So this is even the day before other students will register through priority registration for Freshman Advantage. So what that means is that students who are in the honors program can register for all of their classes when there are still many, many spots available in the classes on the schedule. That actually is a huge, huge benefit in college, no matter what college you're in. And honors program students receive official recognition on their transcript. So every time they take an honors class, there's an H on the transcript denoting that that course was an honors course. And after students complete those 5 honors classes that they're required to take, they receive annotation of honors program completion on their IVC transcript and a nice medallion that they can wear at our commencement ceremony. I should say, just for comparison, in terms of our class sizes, our classes are 15 to 22 students. Most IVC classes are anywhere from 40 to 60 students. So they're not quite as big as a giant lecture hall that a first-year student would find themselves in at UCLA or UC Irvine. At IVC, but honors program classes are even smaller at 15 to 22 students. And typically, if a student is in the honors program, they might take anywhere from 1 honors class out of 4 that they're enrolled in a single semester, or maybe 2 honors classes out of their 4 classes that they're enrolled in. So not 5 all at once, but those 5 honors courses are spread out over the entirety of the student's time at IVC. I mentioned research, and this is something that IVC is actually very strong at. The honors program supports student participation in various research conferences throughout the academic year. Sometimes these are district-wide student symposiums that are held at IVC or at Saddleback, but there's also regional conferences. This coming Saturday is the Southern California Conference for Undergraduate Research, which is a big regional conference for undergraduate students at 2- and 4-year institutions that's being held at Cal State Fullerton. And IVC is sending almost 20 projects to this regional conference, which is quite a few. Last year, I took 17 students to Stanford University for the Bay Honors Symposium. That's the picture up at the top there. And our students did phenomenally well at this statewide conference. So it's a conference of all honors program students across the state presenting their work. And IVC had more than twice as many projects presented at this statewide conference than any other school. And we also, our students won awards. We had 2 of our student presentations fall into the finalist group of Heslett Scholars, which apparently was a first in the conference's history that 2 projects from the same college had been named finalists in this group. So our students do really well. They win awards at undergraduate research conferences. They earn scholarships, win cash awards, and they very often get published as well in undergraduate research journals. So the process of doing research is incredibly helpful for undergraduate students in preparing them for the rigors of upper division coursework after they transfer, but also just teaches critical problem solving, critical thinking skills, communicating complex ideas to an audience of scholars. It's been such a wonderful thing to see so many IVC students really thriving and learning what research is all about so early in their academic careers. And then oftentimes after they transfer to the 4-year, they really have an advantage when they apply for research lab positions at UCLA, at Irvine, at Berkeley, or research programs or fellowships and honors programs there. The second major benefit of the honors program is the community that we offer. We like to call the honors program a college within a college. So we have in our honors program, we're actually kind of a big honors program, given the size of our campus and our enrollment. We're much larger than other equivalent colleges that are our size. We currently have about 850 members in our honors program. It's a lot, but it's just a really nice, supportive community of students who are highly motivated, who are like-minded. They take classes with one another. They support each other outside of their classes. They just kind of group together as like-minded students who all push each other to be better. It's not a competitive environment, which I'm really happy to say. It's a really supportive environment where students really support one another, and they do feel like they get a lot of support, not just from me. I'm the honors program coordinator, but we have 4 designated honors counselors that provide specialized feedback to honors program students who often have a lot of requirements that they need to fulfill, or just kind of help our students plan out far in advance all of the requirements that they need to meet to be eligible for certain majors at certain schools. And we also have a full-time administrative assistant in our office who is wonderful. Her name is Shake. And she is so warm and so supportive of students, answering their questions, helping them kind of problem solve and troubleshoot, and directing them to other resources on campus. Because honors classes are smaller, the students just get to know each other really well. We have leadership opportunities. We offer scholarships for honors program students, and we offer a lot of social and cultural activities. In this photo, it was Pi for Pi Day. So Pi Day is March 14th, 3.14. And we brought in pie for everybody just to celebrate Pi Day. We have pumpkin carving events. Let's see, latte making events. Students just had a latte and matcha making event, which was hilarious to see, like them spooning lots and lots of matcha into their cups. And I said, that might be a lot of matcha, but they were experimenting and having fun. So lots of social cultural activities. We go on field trips. We're hoping this year to either go to the Getty or the Huntington Library, so that students can have like an enhanced cultural art, garden, ecological learning experience. And this event was in our honors lounge. We have a dedicated space just for honors program students to feel like they are in community with one another. And consistently every year we hear from students who say, I just met my best friends at IVC in the honors lounge. It was such a space of support and community for me. And a lot of times students will make great friends in the honors program. They hang out with them in the honors lounge. And when they transfer, they'll be roommates with one another when they transfer to UCLA Berkeley. So it's just a wonderful place where students can feel in community with one another and feel, even though IVC is smaller, the honors program gives them a sort of specialized mini community or family to feel a part of. So the third major benefit is increased transfer success. This is a big reason why a lot of people are interested in the honors program. We have transfer agreements that are specifically just for honor students who are members of the honors program. And I'll go over all three of these. But first, I want to say that there is something called UC TAG, which you may have heard of. TAG stands for the Transfer Admission Guarantee. And this is a transfer agreement that all California community college students can take advantage of. So TAG says, UC TAG says that if a California community college student completes 60 units prior to the spring before transferring to the UC, it maintains a certain GPA for a certain major, then they can get guaranteed admission to one of 6 UC campuses. And those campuses are Davis, Irvine, Merced, Riverside, Santa Barbara, and Santa Cruz. It's a great program. There are some exclusions, which I do want to point out. For example, for computer science majors, the only UC that a computer science major can get guaranteed admission to through TAG is UC Riverside. There are other exclusions that vary by campus. For example, UC Irvine excludes business administration from their TAG agreement. So a student could do business economics, but not business administration for guaranteed admission to UC Irvine. So honor students can do TAG, but because they're in the honors program, if they are on track to complete those honors program requirements, which is 5 honors courses maintaining a 3.25 GPA, they can also take advantage of our transfer agreements with UCLA, for example. Our transfer agreement with UCLA is called the Transfer Alliance Program. And through this program, students who have a UC transferable GPA of 3.5 or higher and are on track to complete honors program requirements, those 5 honors classes, prior to the end of their spring before transferring, they can get priority consideration for admission to majors within the College of Letters and Science. So that covers about 95% of the majors at UCLA. For example, English, psychology, psychobiology, history, art history, poli-sci, business economics. It does exclude the School of Nursing, Theater, Film, and Television, music, arts and architecture, applied science and engineering, and public affairs. That said, so students who are engineering or computer science majors say, oh, wait, I don't benefit from TAP because my major is in the College of Applied Science and Engineering. Technically, yes, but I will say that if our engineering and computer science students are in the honors program and they can designate mechanical engineering as their first choice major, but they list as their alternate major through the TAP application. The only way to get consideration for an alternate major is to do TAP. You don't get consideration for an alternate major any other way. So let's say a mechanical engineering major applies, that's their first choice. And then for their alternate major, they put applied mathematics or math. They still have kind of a higher chance of getting into UCLA for their first choice major, mechanical engineering, through TAP. Okay. So let me clarify how that works. So if this honor student applies to UCLA through the Transfer Alliance program, they might apply as a psychology major. That's their first choice. They get consideration for their first choice major. If they're not accepted to UCLA for their first choice major, they will get consideration for their alternate major, which could be something like sociology or education studies or whatever requirements they satisfy and list as their alternate major. So it's like a second chance at getting into UCLA. But I will say that 97% of our honor students who apply to UCLA through TAP get in for their primary major. And then our students who get into UCLA through TAP are invited to apply for special TAP scholarships and often get TAP scholarships to support their 2 years at UCLA. So in terms of numbers, basically what this means is students who apply to UCLA as freshmen, so you're applying straight out of college into UCLA as a freshman, the admission rate it seems to be dropping every year. I believe this past year for fall 2023 admission, it was 9%. Our honors program graduates, so these are 3.5 GPA or higher, on track to complete the honors program, applied to UCLA through our Transfer Alliance program. They got into UCLA at 80%. So their odds of getting into UCLA are much, much higher by participating in the honors program at UCLA. 80% is pretty good. The year before that was 82% for fall 2022 admission. And then for fall 2023 admission, I was a little bummed it went down to 80%, but still very happy with 80%. Okay, we have also transfer agreements with UC Irvine, and we have 2 separate agreements with UC Irvine. UCI Honors to Honors is a guarantee. Okay, so if students are in the honors program and they have a 3.7 or higher GPA, they get guaranteed admission to UCI for all majors except dance, art, music, and nursing. Or as I like to say, damn, that's how I remember the excluded majors. I said earlier, if you recall, that through UC TAG, the transfer admission guarantee, that's for all California community college students, that UCI, for example, if a computer science major wants to apply to UCI, there's no guaranteed admission through TAG. Also for business administration, that's excluded through TAG. But through honors to honors, for honors program students, computer science majors can get guaranteed admission to UC Irvine, and business administration students can get guaranteed admission to UC Irvine if they have the 3.7 or higher UC transferable GPA and they're on track to complete those 5 honors courses by the end of spring before transferring. It's an amazing program. It also comes with other benefits. It comes with automatic admission to the UC Irvine campus-wide Honors Collegium, which is also a cohort experience. It helps students through the process of doing a research project, but nurtures an honors community very much like we do. Students also get priority consideration for the Regents Scholarship. That's for 2 years for the junior and senior years at UCI, and priority registration for UCI classes, as well as guaranteed housing if they submit their housing application by the deadline. So that's the guarantee. For students that have a slightly lower GPA between 3.25 to 3.69, it's not guaranteed, but they do get priority consideration for admission for all the same majors, all majors except for dance, art, music, and nursing. And then if their GPA is 3.5 or higher, they do get facilitated admission to the campus-wide Honors Collegium and guaranteed housing if they submit their application by the deadline. So in terms of numbers, how this breaks up is for high school students applying to UC Irvine as freshmen, they typically get in at a rate of 25 to 35%, 27, 37. IVC Honors Program students, if they have that 3.7 or higher, and we can certify them for honors to honors, it's 100%, it's a guarantee. And then for the priority consideration for transfer honors, it's about 62 to 70% for that admission rate there, which definitely helps. Finally, we have some transfer agreements through our membership in the Honors Transfer Council of California, or HTCC. And this gets students various transfer benefits depending on the school. If it's a Cal State, then we can get students automatic admission into that Cal State's honors program if they successfully complete honors program requirements at IVC. For schools like Pomona, Scripps, Williams, Tufts, we can get students essentially what amounts to priority consideration for admission to that institution. We are incredibly excited that Yale is now part of our partnership agreement with the Honors Transfer Council of California. It's the first year that they are a transfer partner. So we have lots and lots of honors students excited about applying to Yale and possibly getting some sort of priority consideration for admission to Yale through our HTCC transfer agreement. I want to say Yale's brand new. We've had students in our honors program get accepted to Yale, to Princeton, to Cornell, to UPenn, Georgetown, University of Michigan. So we don't now we just have Yale and these other ones. We don't have transfer agreements with Harvard or Princeton or Cornell, but I will say through their participation in the honors program, that says to highly selective institutions that this is a student who's electing to participate in a highly selective academic program. They're highly motivated. They are, selecting to challenge themselves. And that goes a long way in transfer applications essays. And I'm not going to say that just being in the honors program is going to help you get into like Cornell or Harvard or Princeton. But I will say that being in the honors program raises the bar for all of the students in the honors program to apply for leadership positions, be a leader in a club, or become a student ambassador, or participate in a research conference, or go out for an internship. It's really the environment that encourages students to excel and kind of find their identities, their place as scholars when they come to college. And it's just a really beautiful kind of learning experience. It is a big transition from high school to college, and IVC is like a really warm, supportive community. And the honors program in particular is such a special community on campus. because it allows students who are highly motivated, who are like-minded, to kind of help each other be better and make that adjustment to college, finding out what they're really passionate about and starting to explore that, practicing going to office hours and developing a close relationship with a professor is so much easier when you're one in a class of 20, as opposed to one in a class of 250. Okay, so I want to talk about how you can apply to the honors program, what the process is. So I should say that the honors program is for students who are kind of at the end of their high school careers and getting ready to matriculate to IVC full-time. So our honors program does not accept high school students like while they're in high school, but students can apply to the honors program during their senior year of high school and then join the honors program once they are fully matriculated to IVC. That said, if there are students that has happened where students who are in high school can find a spot in an open honors class. All honors classes are open enrollment. They're not limited to honors program members. So I'll say that. But the program is designed primarily for students who have matriculated fully to IVC. So the first step is to apply for IVC admission. And even if a student has taken classes at IVC already, they do need to apply for IVC admission as like a full-time college student for fall 2024. And then go through the matriculation process, which means you complete guided self-assessment, submit your transcripts, attend advisement, develop a first semester plan, complete orientation. All of this can be done online now, but we have wonderful outreach and matriculation staff and counselors that will help students through that process. And then in terms of like minimum eligibility for our IVC honors program, that is a cumulative high school GPA of 3.25 or higher. And we're looking at grades 9 through at least the fall semester of senior year. So students can apply to the honors program after their 12th grade fall semester grades post to their high school transcripts. And we're looking at unweighted academic grades. So there's sometimes it's split up between weighted and unweighted academic, we are looking at unweighted academic GPA in grades 9 through fall of 12th grade. And then we accept applications all year long, but we do have a deadline of April 1st, 2024 for students to apply to the honors program, be accepted, and then get priority registration through the honors program for fall 2024. The application's online at ivc.edu/honors. And if students do not have the required GPA, that's 3.25 unweighted academic, grades 9 through fall semester senior year, that you can apply later. There's no like, even if it's after April 1st, 2024, let's say you're below a 3.25 after fall semester grades post. But if your GPA goes up above a 3.25 after your spring grades post of your senior year, then you can apply with your final high school transcript in the summer, or even after you matriculate to IVC, take your first semester's worth of classes, get the 3.25 GPA, and you can even apply then. Students do not need to be honors program students in high school to necessarily do honors at IVC. And that's the beautiful thing about IVC, is that it can be a fresh start for high school students. It's a clean slate. You sort of have like, they just reinvent themselves. I have worked with honors program students who are phenomenal students, like top students I've ever worked with. And they'll say to me, you'd be so surprised to know what kind of student I was in high school. I did not try or I just didn't do as much as I do now. But IVC was a wonderful opportunity to get a fresh start. And then I mentioned this, but students can take honors courses before they're officially admitted to the honors program. They're technically open enrollment, and any honors courses that are taken and completed for a letter grade prior to being admitted to the program officially, those honors courses do count towards our requirement of 5 honors courses to complete the honors program. So our application components are a completed application form, basic information like your name, address, high school, email address, and then your transcript. So that is your high school transcript, your most recent copy of your high school transcript demonstrating that 3.25 or higher GPA in your unweighted academic grades from beginning of 9th grade to at least the fall semester of senior year. And then if students have completed any dual enrollment work or college coursework, then we also want to see unofficial transcripts from college coursework that's been completed. And then we have a portfolio. Well, we used to call it portfolio, and I think we call it evidence of achievement now. We're asking for students to submit 3 items of their own work, not group work. It should be individual work that demonstrates their academic potential. On one hand, I want to say that sometimes students get really stressed out about the portfolio, like, I'm a STEM person. I don't know if I can submit essays. You can submit whatever you think reflects your best work. We instituted this evidence of achievement requirement once we got rid of our letter of recommendation requirement, because we thought that everybody has items of their own work that they can be proud of, that they want to show off to us. Whereas it's harder to get a letter of recommendation where you're relying on somebody else to tell us how wonderful you are. So yeah, it's not like we're looking for groundbreaking, Nobel Prize winning work to be submitted, but we are looking for actual sort of, work of your brain. So if you submit 3 photos that you took on your mobile phone, that doesn't tell us a whole lot about how your brain works, if that makes sense. So I could submit 3 pictures of my dog, but that doesn't really say a whole lot about my academic potential, right? So that's what we're looking for with the evidence of achievement. And then finally, a personal essay describing what you're looking for from your college experience, how the honors program will help you achieve your goals, and what you'll contribute to the honors program community. Please don't just submit like a essay that you wrote for your other college applications. We actually want to learn about you when you're answering these questions that we want to know. So that's the application. I also want to just remind you, we have a wonderful program on campus called the Promise Program. Basically, if you apply to be an IVC student, you're a first-time, full-time college student, California resident, or AB 540, you complete a financial aid application, you get 2 years of free tuition at IVC, along with a $300 bookstore voucher to spend towards books every semester, along with personalized counseling and workshops. It is just an amazing program where students can get free their first 2 years of college free. And I think when you combine that with the benefits of honors, it's magic. It's really amazing. Students get a warm, small, supportive space to start off their college experience, really learn how to succeed as a college student, how to go to office hours, how to ask questions, how to talk in class, how to work with other people, how to go out for leadership positions or internships or jobs. And you can do that for free for 2 years at IVC. It's a wonderful deal. So I just want to say that IVC is an amazing place to work at for me personally. I've taught at UC Irvine. I've taught at different community colleges like Orange Coast College, Saddleback, Mount Sac. IVC is definitely my favorite place that I've taught because of the students. The students at IVC are amazing. They're motivated, they're eager, they're sharp, they're bright, they work hard. They're really earnest and just such a joy to work with. So IVC is a great place to be. I want to wrap up right now by sharing our email address, or first our website again is ivc.edu/honors. And if I will go through the questions that are in the Q&A, but if there are any questions that you think of later that I don't answer tonight, then please feel free to email us at honorsprogram@ivc.edu. And what I'll do now is I'm going to go to the Q&A, and I will answer the questions that are in the Q&A. So the first question is, can we get college credit from the courses? Does it improve our GPA? So I think that the person asking that question was asking about whether high school students taking honors courses at IVC will get college credit. So the answer is yes. It's an IVC course. So yes, you will get college credit. Now, does it improve your GPA? Now, I think that kind of dovetails with a dual enrollment. So, which I think because our classes are not technically dual enrollment classes, I don't think that has an impact on your high school GPA. I don't think so, but you're starting to get college credit and show that you can take on the rigor, not only of college coursework, but of honors advanced enriched coursework. Now, I'm going to answer this question like it was a full-time matriculated IVC student. So of course, yes, fully matriculated IVC students get college credit for these honors courses. Now in college, when you take honors courses, it doesn't raise your GPA the way taking honors classes in high school does. And that's because in college, there's no weighted GPA. You cannot have over a 4.0 when you're in college. But as I said earlier, every time you take an honors course, it's denoted on the IVC transcript with an H so that it demonstrates that you did push yourself further for that particular honors course. So the second question is, can I take an honors course as a high school dual enrollment? So yeah, you can, as a high school student, try to enroll in an honors course at IVC. Now, like I just answered the question of whether that will give you high school credit. I don't believe so, but you'll talk to your high school counselor about that. The third question is, do you have to be in this program for 2 years? Is it possible to only do this program for 1 year? Okay. I will say it's interesting. Since COVID, there has been a huge interest in students wanting to transfer out of IVC in 1 year and thus complete honors program requirements in that 1 year before transferring. Now, if you're transferring to a school like USC, which does take, transfers after 1 year, they only require completion of 40 units before transferring. Or UPenn, for certain majors like business, they only want students transferring to UPenn after 1 year at a community college. So we had a recent honors program student transfer to UPenn for business who was on that track. Now, I'll answer your question, which is it's possible to transfer out of IVC in 1 year and possibly complete honors program requirements in that 1 year. Most students who do that, I will say this, it's more possible, I think, post-COVID because we offer more online classes now, which just allows students to be a lot more efficient. There's a lot of factors that go into whether a student can do all of this in 1 year to a UC because it requires completion of 60 units before you transfer. That's a lot. So I'll say that the major makes a difference, whether it's doable to do in 1 year, largely depends on the student's major. It depends on how many AP credits that they've earned in high school or how many how many college courses they've already completed while they're in high school. In terms of completing honors program requirements, it would definitely mean that they would have to take honors classes in their summer, fall, and spring, right after graduating from high school. And then just have to be really efficient and plan ahead. What's really difficult is when students are applying to transfer to a UC out of IVC in 1 year, you're applying as a transfer student. And so when you are submitting your UC applications, you can't really talk about high school. You have to come into IVC, hit the ground running, try to get involved, engaged, grow as a college student, and you're already applying, let's say, to a UC when you've only been at IVC a couple of months. That can be really tricky. So is it doable? Yes, it is. We've had students do it, but is it challenging and hard and stressful and really, really tricky? Yeah, I think so, but we've had students do it. Okay, so this was a time-based question. Is it excluded CS2 or not for this one? But I think I answered that question. Will the enrollment to TAB be at the beginning of their education life at IVC? Oh, and do the students choose specific college and major when they apply? Okay, so when you apply to IVC, we're here to support you. You don't have to say what your major is going to be or what college you want to transfer to. A lot of times that changes. Students change their major, I think, the majority of the time. That's at any college or university. So no IVC students need to no IVC students need to say their college or intended major when they apply to the honors program. I think that's what the question was. And I answered this as well. HTCC transfer agreements provide, sometimes it's guaranteed admission to the other institution's honors program, but most of the time it's priority consideration for admission. When will I know whether I'm admitted to the honors program or not? So usually when students submit an application, I'll say it takes us about 3 weeks to turn around a response to the student. Remember that high school students need to wait until after their 9th grade, when their senior year fall grades post to their high school transcripts. And so I think for most students, that's January sometime. And then also we get a big wave of applications coming in before our April 1st deadline for priority registration for fall. And so if you're in the massive wave of applications that comes in on March 31st, it might take us a little bit longer to respond to you. Yes. Okay, so how many honor students on average are accepted into the program per year? I would say on average, we have typically an incoming class of honors program students of about 300 or 300. No, it's gone up. So I would say 300 to 400. Now, our program has been growing. When I started this position in 2020, we had about 500 students. Now in 2023, we have 850. So there's been a huge interest in our program, students wanting to take advantage of our program benefits. And so my big task as the honors program coordinator is just to ensure that we are offering enough honors classes for students to be taking. And so sometimes it's, it's a careful calibration of what can we provide for students and how many can we accept. But yes, on average, over the years, we typically accept 300 to 400. I will say I have a desire to make the program as accessible and inclusive as we possibly can be. So I want as many students to take advantage of the benefits of the program as possible. Okay, are honors courses more difficult than other courses? If so, does it put students at a disadvantage in terms of GPA calculation, meaning that it's harder to get an A's compared to other non-honors courses? That's a good question. We usually say honors courses are not necessarily harder, they're just enriched. And so there's something about, okay, so I teach writing to honors. I am challenging my students to do pretty rigorous work. And they cannot believe what they've accomplished by the end of the semester. But because our class is so small, my honors classes are capped at 15 students, I can really provide a lot of individualized support to my students to help them rise to that challenge. So I'm expecting rigorous, level of work out of them, but I give them that support. And I will say, I don't know if I can say this, but a lot of my students do really well grade-wise because I'm giving them the support to do well. So there's a couple of different factors, the classes are smaller, students get more support from other students, but also from the professor. But I'll also be completely honest and say, in college, in life, there's different factors that play into things, right? Sometimes it's the particular class. Like I started off personally as a biochemistry major. It was not for me. I changed to English. I added psychology. So would I ever elect to take an honors calculus course? Personally, no, I would not, because I know I couldn't do well in it. And so, that's why we give students the choice to choose which honors classes do you want to take. And college students are very resourceful. They do research on professors and previous syllabi and what is this class like. Students get a lot of choice in terms of choosing which honors classes they want to take. And some students, they do, honors calculus fills every semester. More power to those wonderful students who would take honors calculus. I would not personally, but we allow students to make that choice. I worked with a student a couple years ago. He's at UCLA now, and he was a biochemistry major, and he took this honors music history course that he just loved. And he wrote a research paper in that honors music history course, like comparing, I don't know, this composer's sort of political engagement in the Soviet Union. I don't know, something like that. He ended up turning it into a research project that he presented at undergraduate research conferences. But so, yeah, students get a lot of choice in terms of which courses they want to challenge themselves with for the honors level courses. I'm also going to say that, we have students, we require 5 honors classes to be taken to complete the program. Many of our honor students take more than 5 by choice because they love the small class setting of honors classes. And they love just the interaction, the engagement. And so, students can choose how they want to challenge themselves. For the portfolio items, I'm still confused. I did really well in math and biology, but I cannot think of anything I can show in these subjects. Can you give some examples? For sure. If you have a quiz or a lab or an experiment where you grew beanstalks or something, and you wrote that up in a report or maybe in a presentation, you could submit anything like that. So if you're a math and bio person, if you're a STEM person and you want to show that strength, it could be a test. It could be a PDF of, like, some people will submit code that they wrote, or a quiz they did really well in that they were so proud of. So hopefully that helps to explain. Do you need to reapply to the honors program each year? Nope. Once you're in the program, you're in the program, you're part of the honors program family until you transfer. Or, yeah. Okay, may I know where I could find the courses that students can be enrolled or selected in the first 2 years for the honors program? It's just in this IVC schedule of classes. Perhaps our outreach person who's here can look up the link for the schedule of classes and then put it in here. But if you just Google IVC schedule, it'll take you to the IVC schedule of classes. And then there's a tab that allows you to have listed only the honors courses for that term. So that's where you can look it up. For honors students, can you be in both UCLA tab and UCI honors to honors, or can you establish only one? You could do everything. You could do tag. Okay, so for example, if we have students who are eligible for everything, a student could do UC tag to, let's say, Santa Barbara for biology, and then they could get, that's guaranteed, then they can get guaranteed admission to UC Irvine for honors to honors, and they can get priority consideration for admission to UCLA through tab. Could do it all. They could even apply to Yale and get priority consideration for biology through our Honors Transfer Council of California agreement. So honor students could do all of it. Is the honors program application due date April 1st? And if so, is it before the IVC application due date in May? Yeah, so it doesn't align, unfortunately, but if students want to apply to the honors program, and they're eligible now, we highly recommend that students apply to IVC, apply to the honors program by April 1st, so that they can get priority registration for their fall semester classes, their first fall semester at IVC. Now, students can submit an application after April 1st, 2024, but we are not able to guarantee priority registration for fall 2024 if the application is submitted after April 1st. So if you came in your junior year, do you need to submit your American and Turkish transcript? Yeah, ideally, you can do that. You can get your Turkish transcript translated to English and submit both. But if your Turkish classes, your classes that you took in Turkey are like on your transcript at your high school, then we typically will take that as well. Can I still do the honors program if I am transferring to IVC for 2 years? Yeah, if you are planning to be at IVC for 2 years, absolutely, you can do the honors program. Okay, and then I think here's the last question that I'll wrap up with because it's 5:30. If a student is applying after a semester at IVC, should their portfolio pool only from their IVC work, or can they include work from high school? That's a great question. I would say if you're applying after a semester at IVC, we would love to see your college level coursework, unless you did something super phenomenal in high school that you absolutely want to include. Then yeah, that could be one of your items. But we would love to see work that you're being pushed to do or are doing college level coursework at IVC. So that's a good question. Okay. All right. Oh, and let me put in the class schedule link right here, and then I think we will wrap up. Okay, here. There we go. Okay, so I believe I just answered the question about the schedule. Okay. Thank you so much for attending our session today. I want to say, if you think of other questions, or if I did not get a chance to answer your question, please email us at honorsprogram@ivc.edu. We would be happy to answer your questions, and we really look forward to supporting you if you come to IVC and apply to the honors program. Have a wonderful evening, and tomorrow is the final presentation for IVC Spotlight Week that is on career education. Same time, 4:30 to 5:30, same link. So we hope that you will attend and hear about career ed at IVC. And have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for coming. Have a good night.